Boy, that's a long introduction. So welcome back, everyone. I think I might even take that introduction off because, I just hate introductions. It's just way too long. We're going to jump right in. Anything that I say is not meant to bypass any medical cures or anything. Just take it with a grain of salt, do your own research, check with your doctor before implementing anything. And let's just dive right in. There's a lot of questions. So let's see how many we can answer today.
All right, that sounds great. And we're going to start with Isaac. Now, he's had a lot of trouble coming on the air, so let's see if we can hear him. Isaac, you are on with Dr. Berg. If we can hear you, go ahead with your question. Unfortunately, Isaac, we can't hear you, so I'm going to kind of put you back on hold for, no, not yet.
Yes.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there
okay.
we go.
Yes, Steve. Yes.
There we go.
Wonderful. Go ahead with your question for Dr. Berg, Isaac. Can't hear you.
Hear me?
Go ahead.
You
Yeah.
hear me now?
Yes. Go ahead.
Hi.
Okay. Hi, Dr. Berg.
Yes.
Did you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead with your question.
Hello? Yes. I am diagnosed in UC, ulcerative colitis. Okay. Hi, Dr. Berg.
Hi there. Go ahead with your question, Isaac. We can hear you.
Okay. You hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I am diagnosed with ulcerative colitis for a long time, and I'm taking medicine at this time. I'm in Humira for a long time, since 2017, now more than 6 years. And I'm trying to stop this medicine because of the side effects. And as you mentioned one time, one of the medicine you mentioned.
I tell you.
Okay. I think I have enough information.
Humira.
Yeah. Let me.
Yeah, I cut off his volume. Go ahead, Doc.
So there's many different causes of inflammation, especially in your gut. And so what you have to do is you have to look at the potential causes. And I think the number one cause is you have to relate it to the diet. There's something you're eating, obviously, that's irritating the gut. And unfortunately, when you take medication, you're treating the symptom, but you got to remove the reason for it. And typically it's things that irritate the colon. It could be something related to either gluten is a big one, and the grains. Okay, that's a big one. It could be an allergy to something with dairy, but that's less common. It could be some other allergy like peanuts or something like that. But typically it's the grains, and which is the most common thing that people irritate the colon. So you must remove those. On some cases, it's something in the vegetable that you're eating. Like it could be some oxalates or lectins or something in there that is an anti-nutrient that could be irritating you. So, and this is why when someone has inflammation in the gut, they're going to be doing very well if they cut out beans, legumes, nuts, and even some plants for a while, and especially grains, and then start eating more animal protein. What's interesting, one of the best ways to heal the gut, and this might surprise everyone, is beef. Beef, that's right. Because beef has the most glutamine, and glutamine is one of the best foods for the colon cells, and rarely does anyone have an allergy to beef. Now, you can do lamb, you can do other things, but that seems to be a good healer for the gut, and it doesn't have any anti-nutrients. And of course, I'm going to recommend like the grass-fed, things like that too. I'm going to be releasing a video on some new information about inflammation, but I honestly, for you, it's just a mere changing of the diet. Do intermittent fasting, get off these other things, and watch what happens. You're going to be quite pleasantly surprised with your gut inflammation.
Well, that's great. Hey, Isaac, thanks for being such a great sport and battling the cell towers and getting your question across. And so we appreciate you coming on with us. And with that, Isaac, stay tuned because we're having our first quiz question of the day. This one's a true falser, Doc.
Okay. When you are in a state of panic, okay, like a panic attack where you're hyperventilating, this means that you need more air. Is that true or false?
I don't know. All right, audience, climb onto that. That was my comic relief for the first 5 minutes of the show. And then let's go immediately to social media, who's been so patient. And let's start with Joanna from YouTube. I'm on healthy keto and not diabetic. Do I need to monitor myself for ketoacidosis?
Ketoacidosis is a state where your ketones are way too high, like they're like above 10. Okay. Now, realize that anyone does this that's not a diabetic, okay, is never, ever going to rise above probably even 5. But usually it's between 0.5 and 3 for most people, unless you start doing prolonged fasting and a lot of exercise. So do you have to worry about that? No, you don't have to worry about that unless you're a type 1 diabetic and you're forgetting to use your insulin. Okay, you're not regulating the blood sugars, and then that would be the risk factor. Now, there are some other rare examples. If someone is a diabetic and they're pregnant, that could be an issue, or they're taking medication, or they have some rare disease. But those are all so rare. But typically, all you have to do is get a blood glucose / ketone meter and measure where you're at. And I will pretty much guarantee that you're not going to probably get above 3 or 4, and at the very most 5.
All right, Joanna.
And ketoacidosis is like 10, 11, 12, that type of thing.
All right, good news, Joanna. So it looks like you're in the clear. And let's see. We've got an answer for quiz question number 1. And it asks, true, false. When you are in a state of panic and hyperventilation, this means you actually need more air. Well, 85% of our respondents say it's false. And 15% say, I need more air. It's true.
Yeah, well, try to get more air. Try to breathe more and see what happens. When you're trying to get more air when you're hyperventilating, you're getting the wrong ratio of oxygen to CO2. It's not just the oxygen in the air. You have nitrogen, you have CO2 in the air. And so if you don't get enough CO2, what happens is that oxygen is not able to be released inside your cells. This is why when people are in a panic attack, they breathe in a paper bag so they can get less oxygen and more CO2 and finally start to calm down their asthma attack or whatever they're into. So very simply, if you're in a panic attack or you have anxiety and you're stressed right before sleep, you're trying to sleep, you're probably noticing you're either holding your breath or there's some breath problem. So you just need to slow down the breath, have even breaths in and breaths out, and breathe through your nose, and that'll increase the CO2 and then allow the oxygen. It's called the Bohr effect. It can go right into the cells, and you're going to actually start breathing. Your panic will go away, and you'll feel much better. So I am going to, this next week, release a video on this very powerful breathing technique because it can pull you out of a lot of stress states.
That's wonderful. Good news. Look forward to that video, and look forward to saying a good morning to all of our viewers outside the U.S., and they are joining us today from the UK, Canada, Mexico, Jordan, Cyprus, India, Greece, Norway, Ghana, Chile, Germany, Iran, Qatar, the Bahamas, Eritrea, Poland, Bermuda, Nicaragua, haven't heard from them for a while, France, Japan, Russia, Pakistan, the Czech Republic, Sweden, Nigeria, Argentina, the Virgin Islands, where have they been? Maui, let's see, Albania, sorry, my screen's a little farther away from me today, the United Arab Emirates, the Netherlands, Kuwait, Italy, Nepal, Cameroon, New Zealand, Ireland, Saudi Arabia, Israel, Brazil, Brunei, I said that right, didn't I, Terry? You're proud of me? South Korea, Finland, Peru, Bangladesh, the Philippines, Ukraine, Armenia, Scotland, Morocco, Oman, Portugal, Slovakia, Spain, Jamaica, Ethiopia, Trinidad and Tobago, Switzerland, Colombia, Dubai, Tanzania, Egypt, and all across these United States. And boy, what a list. And I think my eyes are now crossed, Doc. You'll have to put a video out about that from pushing the screen too far away. I'm up in Dr. Berg's area, up in the Washington, D.C. area today, visiting a different place, so that's my setup's a little different, but still love being a part of everything. And thank you from folks all around the world for joining us today. Let's go back to social media. Jerry from Facebook, what's the most powerful remedy to treat E. coli?
Again, I don't treat disease, but I'm going to just give you some recommendations to research so you could actually help your stuff. There's several natural antimicrobial herbs out there. Garlic is one, onion is two, and there's also thyme, sage, and even like you can get an herbal remedy as the black walnut hull, clove. These are all really good antimicrobials, any of the microbes, and they don't seem to harm your own microbes. So that's something that you can definitely use to help balance out this E. coli situation. You have to also realize that in your body, you have a lot of what's called, so-called pathogens in a kind of a friendly relationship. They're not bothering you. Like even candida, you have different funguses that once the environment changes in your gut, that relationship changes and now they become pathogenic. So there's even E. coli that's in our bodies that are not creating problems. It's when the relationship changes, when you maybe take an antibiotic or you eat the wrong foods. So the key is keeping the gut microbe flora enhanced and consuming the right foods so you can have the defense and to keep those relationships really balanced, so you don't have an over growth of the pathogenic version.
All right, folks, by the way, our producer, Terry, because we got a little late start, wants to make sure that the audience gets their money's worth. So we'll go ahead and stay on the air, Doc, for an extra 3 or 4 minutes, if that's okay with you, because we don't want to miss one extra second of time serving all of our viewers from around the world. Let's go back to social media once again. Satavia, I said that terribly wrong. Sativa, excuse me, from YouTube. Have you created any videos that address eating disorders? I struggle to stay on healthy keto and could use some healthy tips to stay consistent, helpful tips.
I think the best thing when you try to find a video from now on, I would search Dr. Berg in the video, because I do have a few videos on that topic. I think the most important thing to do is to try to match the healthy version of keto as much as you can, because that way you get the nutrients to help balance any type of, if there's any physical issue that's relating to that, number one. And then number two, keep your carbs lower. That's going to be very important just to help balance your chemistry, because when the carbs go high, all sorts of things go out of whack. There's a couple other things I want to recommend. A very high quality probiotic, which will really help, vitamin D in higher amounts, and especially a natural B vitamin, B1. Okay. All of that together, I think, will assist you in gaining more control over that condition. As far as intermittent fasting, I probably wouldn't recommend too much of that, but I also, on the flip side, wouldn't recommend adding more snacks. So let's say you just do 3 meals, super healthy, and no snacks in between, like most people. And I think that would be the best bet for what you're going through.
All right, let me check off my snacks now. So got to get rid of the 10 snacks and get back on it. All right, so anyway, by the way, folks, we really enjoy coming to you on YouTube and Facebook, but we've had a few concerns with YouTube lately, but want to assure you that, you're not going to lose us. There's a lot of other venues, and we intend to continue here on YouTube. But just in case, we would love for you to go to drberg.com and make sure that you register. Is that what it's called? Give us your email. There's a little spot for that. What does that look like, Doc, on the website?
So I do a newsletter, and that way, if you actually go to drberg.com and you sign up, you'll at least get a lot of information that may not be on YouTube or may be filtered, so you can get more data. And I would recommend that, because we're also going to include another live Q&A on on that in that platform. So that way it's like not on YouTube, because it's becoming more difficult to get the information because some of the information is filtered now, unfortunately. But that way there's other ways to find the information that you need.
And that's great. So if you will, maybe take a few minutes right now to log on to drberg.com and sign up for the newsletter, and we will never lose track of you and will always feed you all the great things that come from Dr. Berg and his crew. Let's go to quiz question number 2. And this is not a true-falser. And there it is, Doc.
Okay. The food that has the highest amount of vitamin A is fill in the blank.
All right. Yeah, this is an actual essay question. You have to write something down in there. So good luck with that. Let's see. GA from Facebook. What's the best remedy to address stiffness in the legs, stiff legs?
You know, I think there's a couple reasons for that. What comes to mind is you might have an imbalance of calcium and phosphorus. And if there's too much calcium in the body and not enough phosphorus, you will tend to get stiff. One remedy that I used to use for that when I use standard process products is phosphate liquid. You put a little of that in some water, and it seems to really help kind of balance out these calcium buildup. Also, vitamin K2 is also important, removing the calcium from the joints and keeping them in the bone. And that usually comes from, different cheeses that you would eat. Munster cheese happens to have the most, but also you can get it from sauerkraut as well. And but other fatty foods, even chicken egg yolks, you can get it from pate, liver, things like that. All the fatty things, except for fermented things, you can also get vitamin K2, which will help that stiffness.
All right, well, that's wonderful. Laura from Facebook, this is not wonderful. What recommendations would you offer to someone that has Lyme disease? That's a real bummer, isn't it? Or can be.
I did a video on that. I had it, and I did the natural version, and it's a nasty, nasty thing, but you definitely need to read a more detailed book about it, and also videos, because there's a certain protocol that you can use certain herbs, but you have to go gradually up, because you can actually start creating die-off when you can feel kind of like you're detoxing too much. But you use things like colloidal silver, you use things like garlic, black walnut, and that way you can, it's like some people have worse effects than others. And so it really boils down to how strong your immune system is, and have you been building up your health reserve or not? And so whether you have Lyme or not, I guess a good tip would be to always work on building up your health and fitness to the point where you can tolerate more stress, you can handle infections when you get them and you don't fall apart. Because if you're more fragile, boy, when things hit you, they can really hit you hard. So stay tuned for more of that. It's kind of like in every moment of time, you have each person that are at a certain level of health. And you really have to acknowledge where you're at, because sometimes people think that they're a lot healthier than they really are. And so they go off the program. So the more health reserve you have, the more flexible you are to eat things that are off the program. But not everyone has that luxury.
Interesting. Well, guess what? I just caught Zenadine from Ontario yawning. So I'm going to put him on the spot right now. And if you would unmute yourself. And now he's smiling. He's very alert. And he is going to ask you one question and belt it out in 30 seconds, yawn or not. Go ahead, Zenadine. You're on the air with Dr. Berg.
Hello, Mr. Dr. Berg. Thank you for what you are doing for the audience and everything. I'm a big fan, and I have a question. A year ago, she had a root canal done. After that, she started having a headache and cluster migraine. She felt a lot of pressure, mainly on the right side. The doctor she went to prescribed has steroids and antidepressant pills. She can take it instead of what she can do to take it instead of those medication daily.
So you said one thing at the very beginning that I missed. What was the first thing you said?
She had the root canal done.
Oh, root canal. Okay. So the headache started after that?
Yeah, after that.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a very interesting question because there's two possibilities. One is that many of these root canals don't actually solve all the problems. There could still be an infection in the gums. So you want to find a really good doctor that specializes in root canals, and they may need to drill out because there could be another abscess or something deep underneath there that they need to clean out. There's been a lot of people who had root canals that end up kind of getting some contamination of bacteria underneath there, and it's trapped and it's building up pressure and it's referring pain in your head. So that's kind of like, and they can do a simple X-ray to look at the bone because sometimes this infection can actually just destroy your bone right underneath that area. That's the first thing I would look at, and they might have to go in there and clean it out or pull the tooth. The second thing is this: when you get dental work, if the teeth don't fit right, boy, that can create all sorts of tension in your neck and cause a headache. So you go back to the dentist and have them adjust the teeth, bite. And when they bite down, is there certain parts of your tooth that are not fitting exactly right? Boy, that can create problems all over your body. Those would be the two things I think you would be very fruitful in figuring out.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That's great. Well, that's rotten. I hope your wife feels better and they get to the bottom of that, tooth or whatever it is. All right, let's go back to our quiz question number 2, which required a written answer. And it asked, the food that has the highest amount of vitamin A is 64% of our respondents say it's beef liver. 16% say it's eggs. Those are great. 10% say carrots. 10% say leafy greens. Do we have any winners among the respondents?
We do have some winners. It is beef liver, number 1. And number 2 would be more like a cod liver and plus the cod liver oil. And number 3 would be the egg yolk.
All right, very good. Great job to all you folks there. Let's go back to social media again. Alexandra from YouTube, what are your thoughts on taking NMN supplements? I've been taking them for a while and see an improvement in my white blood cell count. Is there a connection? NMN supplements. Does that make sense?
And yeah. Yes, that's a really good, powerful compound for your mitochondria. And without getting into too much technicality with that, you would you're gonna probably notice 2 things. One is that your energy is going to go up because it's good for the mitochondria, and number 2, you're going to have less oxidative stress because it really acts as a very powerful antioxidant. So you'll just feel probably less inflammation in the body, and as we age, that becomes more relevant. So that's what I would recommend. It's a good supplement. There's several of those compounds that are good for the mitochondria. Another one would be called ubiquinol, which is a type of coenzyme Q10 that you can take, which is also good for the mitochondria, and especially if someone is on a statin drug.
All right, very good. Now I'm going to race against the clock. I'm putting up quiz question number 3 because our mean producer, Terry, always reminds me. Well, guess what, Terry? I got ahead of you on this one. And there it is, Doc, a true falser.
True or false? The more regular and consistent your heartbeat is, the healthier it is. So we're talking about this really regular heartbeat, and talking about the distance between the heart and everything. Is if it's the more regular it is, the healthier it is.
That's interesting. All right, let's see. Tony from Facebook, what's the best food and supplements to address a fatso liver, a fatty liver?
Well, the best supplement is choline. That is in egg yolks, by the way. And if you get on the healthy version of a keto, where you're lowering your carb and you're having a lot of vegetables, that's also probably a very good thing to do to remove fat off your liver. There's one study that I posted in a video that you can literally remove like almost 50% of that fat within 2 weeks by going on a low carb diet. So that's the secret.
All right, very good. And then our producer Terry went ahead and sent me quiz time for number 3, or quiz number 3 time, just to annoy me. Thanks, but I beat you to it that way anyway. Okay, back to social media. Let's see. How about eating disorders? I think we did that. Andrew from Facebook, please address remedies for sleep apnea. A lot of people have that issue.
You know, I'll have to do another video, but I do, if you type Dr. Berg sleep apnea, you'll find a bunch of things. Usually, the way to solve sleep apnea is just to fix insulin resistance by going on a low carb, healthy keto plan with intermittent fasting. Okay. So that usually handles it, but there are some other things that can greatly help that condition as well. Because we also have another hormone called cortisol. And cortisol, if it's too high from stress, can really create sleep apnea as well. So how do you lower cortisol? There's many things. That great breathing technique, exercise, eating healthily, removing stress are all very, very key. But that's my quick version. And if you want the long version, you can just search it out on one of my YouTube videos.
All right, here's our lightning fast audience. Already attacked the true falser, our number 3 question, which said, true false, the more regular and consistent your heartbeat is, the healthier it is. That is a fascinating question. And 80% of our respondents, 60% of our respondents say that it's false, and 40% say it's true. So kind of a split there.
It's false. It's false. It's very counterintuitive. You would think that a healthy heart would be very, very consistently regular, but it's not. A very healthy heart rate is varied. And I'm talking about the distance between the heartbeats, and it's very hard to even visualize that because sometimes it's in milliseconds. So when you're looking at the heart rate variability, you're looking at how resilient that heart is, that nervous system behind the heart, basically the autonomic nervous system, to how flexible it is to adapt to stress and recover from stress. And very soon I will have a device that you can get, which is unbelievable because it'll allow you to do your own research on your own body and see where you're at and do exercise and do things to see what's going to improve it. And you're looking at this exact technology, heart rate variability. There's over 2,000 studies on this one topic. It's very backed up by research, but a healthy heart is a varied heart. And so anyway, stay tuned for that. I'm pretty excited about that, but I'll create a bunch of videos on how to simplify it and help you understand it very simply because it's very valuable.
All right. Well, I think I'm going to guess what you might say to Melissa from YouTube. She says, can a person be allergic to apples, even peeled organic apples? I get horrible hiccups whenever I swallow even a piece. Help.
It's not an allergy. A true allergy comes from a protein, but it could be a sensitivity. It could be an intolerance. It could also be that your digestive system doesn't really like to digest apples and fruits. Like some people will eat like an apple and they'll feel just all this like bloating because you're introducing something that your microbes aren't used to. And there's a lot of fructose in there as well. So it's not an allergy, but it's probably an intolerance. So I would just avoid apples right now.
All right, very good. Well, we've had a bunch of boys on the show now. Let's go to the lovely Victoria, who is from Florida. And make sure you unmute yourself. And Victoria is going to demonstrate how to ask her single question in 30 seconds. Go.
Good morning. My question for someone who hasn't been able to recover after surgery because they are struggling with issues like hormonal imbalances and low stomach acid, how can I accelerate the wound healing?
Okay. So you're trying to increase the wound healing, but you have a couple other barriers, and those were what again?
Hormonal imbalances, like the thyroid and low stomach acid.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a really good question because there's some very specific things to increase wound healing. And one big one is the zinc. The zinc as a supplement is one of the best ways to increase wound healing. And the other one is the tocotrienols, which is a type of vitamin E. The tocotrienols, very, very powerful. And those are the two I would focus on, but make sure that you get on the healthy version of keto, because that should help your thyroid. That should help your hormones and put you in a much better place. But if we're talking about wound healing, we're talking about also glutamine is a good amino acid too for increasing that as well. You can take that as a supplement. But yeah, zinc, glutamine, and vitamin E in the form of tocotrienols. And of course, if you need more stomach acid, you should take betaine hydrochloride.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That's great. Thanks for hanging in there with us, Victoria, and asking a great question. And get back with us and let us know how your healing is going and your hormones and all that stuff. All right, let's go back to Steve with YouTube. I do 2 meals a day and have lost 62 pounds. I don't have my bell with me, buddy, but congratulations. 62 pounds in 7 months. But now I don't have as much fat padding around my shoulder joints, and I'm not in pain, but I can hear them rubbing as I'm moving around. Thoughts? His shoulders, bones, I guess, are crunching away or something.
I would work on not increasing fat around that area. I'd work on increasing muscle, and that will solve your problem. And so start doing the shoulder exercises. They have a really, these great workout for that. They're clubs, and they're heavy. They're like, they have them in 5 pound, 10 pound, 15 pound, even 20 pound clubs. And there's a whole exercise routine. I bought them. I like it because you can do a lot of safe motions to start to strengthen the shoulder muscle itself. And even hanging from like a pull-up bar, very therapeutic for increasing that little space between the AC joint and helping stretch the opposite muscles. But yeah, you want to work on building up the shoulder muscles through those type of exercises.
Very good. Here's quiz question number 4, Doc.
Okay. What is it about exercise that helps extend your lifespan?
All right, audience. That's a hopeful question. So go jog around and give us your answer. Mike from YouTube, what do you think about a possible link between cancer and parasites?
There is a link there. There's definitely a link there. Same thing with virus and cancer. I think it really has to do also with your immune system. There's 2 different immune cells that cross over. They kill cancer and they kill viruses and microbes. So it could be that what's happening is the immune system is somehow blocked, and you may have kind of more susceptibility to getting cancer, especially with the mitochondria. But typically what causes cancer is damage to the mitochondria, and that could be from anything chronic inflammation, chronic stress, chronic bad eating, chronic pollution, chronic smoking, chronic eating junk food. All these things build up. And even chronic stress as well. So again, here's my suggestion. Don't wait till you have cancer. Work on your health right now. Build up a health reserve, and not just from foods, but other things too, by working on your exercise, for example, and increasing your fitness to keep beefing up, no pun intended, that health reserve, so you actually have extra fitness, so you can go through life with less problems. And it's quite interesting with exercise because, well, let me just wait for everyone to answer that before I get into it too much.
All right, very good. In the meantime, Simply Natural from YouTube, what would you recommend for chronic pain from lupus? That's a nasty condition.
The best thing is the vitamin D on high levels. So I would take about 50,000 IUs of vitamin D3 as a natural anti-inflammatory for any type of autoimmune problems. I have videos on autoimmune you can check out, but you'd have to type Dr. Berg and autoimmune, or else you probably won't find them.
All right, Malona from Ghana on Facebook. What's the most common cause for left shoulder pain?
I think the most common is the same thing that causes the right shoulder pain, which is a problem in the bile ducts. There's like bile duct sludge, and the remedy for that is TUDCA, and then also some bile salts when you eat. And then correcting the diet as well, because you have these little bile tubes that go from your liver down to the small intestine through, and they connect to the gallbladder, but also they do cross over right to that small intestine, and the pancreatic ducts kind of join. So let's say, for example, something's blocked, it backs up into the pancreas, and that refers pain to your left shoulder. Now, another cause could be something related to the heart, but it really depends on your lifestyle and what makes more sense to you. So, if you find everything, if you start taking TUDCA and you still have symptoms, then go get your heart checked to see if there's any problem on the left shoulder, because that could be referred pain from your heart, especially if you're not getting sleep.
All right, so watch out for that. Pearl from Facebook. I have stage 3 fatty liver. Is milk thistle oil good for that? And do I have to stop eating fat meats because I also doing healthy keto? Thanks.
Yeah, I think that's a good remedy. Milk thistle is really good for that. You may also want to take choline, because that helps strip the fat off the liver. And yeah, you're eating fatty foods. The key with the fatty liver is cutting down on the carbs. So I'm assuming you're doing that, and not having anything with fructose. And I think that would be the best thing to do with good probiotic and a good huge salad each day. That would be good.
All right, very good. And this is good, how well the audience is doing with the questions, ripping through them. Question number 4 said, what is it about exercise that helps extend our lifetimes? And the audience, hang on, let me get back to your shot, Doc. The audience, 55% of them say exercise increases mitochondria health. 25% it says it increases oxygen distribution to the cells. 10% say it improves circulation, and the final 10% say it increases the growth hormones.
Out of all the things that you can do, exercise is probably at the top of the list as far as extending your life, because it number one, it causes an increase in the number of mitochondria and the replenishment of mitochondria, which most diseases are mitochondria related, including cancer and many other brain neurological problems and even heart problems. So that's very, very important. And of course, getting more oxygen. Yes, you're going to get more oxygen to the cells as well. And you're also going to burn up any extra sugar. A really good habit is to go for a walk after you eat a meal. And you can burn off any excess sugar that you ate and kind of protect yourself. But this exercise thing is quite interesting, because it's that action that buffers disease and extends your life. And it allows you to get away with some of the bad things that you may eat or expose yourself during the day.
All right, very good. Miguel from YouTube, is there a connection between insomnia and the carnivore diet? Maybe he's chasing wildlife in the middle of the night or something.
I think there's a way to do carnivore correctly and healthily, but the other thing is how are you going to get 4,700 milligrams of potassium? Now, some people say, well, that's not necessary, but I think the requirements, based on some interesting data that I read, should be higher than 4,700. And so if you're doing just meats and eggs and things like that, how much potassium are you really getting? How much magnesium are you really getting? And then, because those are the two minerals that really help enhance sleep. Calcium also enhances sleep as well, but you can have maybe cheese or something like that. So these are things that I would look at, and maybe you have to, in the meantime, when you're on carnivore, take a potassium supplement or electrolytes and see if that doesn't help your sleep. Don't take it right before you go to bed, because you'll be peeing all night, but take it more in the morning. But I think that's one factor. And also sometimes for people, when you eat a lot of meat, you might be eating too much meat, and also, or you might be eating too much phosphorus. Meat has a lot of phosphorus, and that's kind of an accelerator to your nervous system, kind of like the racehorses in Kentucky consume this grass that's really high in phosphorus, but the cows in Wisconsin get a lot of calcium from all the limestone, and they're really laid back and they take a lot of naps.
That's something good for them. Terry takes a lot of naps, but I digress. Oslam from YouTube. I've been on intermittent fasting for 6 years now and recently noticed I feel fatigued after I have a meal. What could be the cause? I'm 100% keto. Also, is it okay to work out while we're fasting?
Yes, it's okay to work out while you're fasting, but I would definitely make sure you're getting enough of the B vitamins, number one. Make sure you're getting electrolytes and enough sea salt, number two. And number three, you might need to take something like either the coenzyme Q10 in the form of ubiquinol and something called NAD, which is another compound that is good for the mitochondria to give you more energy. These are just things that I would recommend, but I will say, and I don't think this is your situation, some people are tired because they're not having enough high quality protein. I don't think that's your problem, but it's something to look at. So you just might want to juggle it, because I don't have enough data to really know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, and by the way, he said he's not 100% keto, so forgive me for that. Maybe.
Oh, he's not.
Not 100%.
Well, try to go 100% keto and see how you feel then.
All right, that makes more sense. That explains it. Okay, Susanna from Facebook, would you recommend using pork fat for cooking on keto? Is that lard or?
Yeah. Yes, I would totally recommend that. Make sure it's a high quality pork fat, but yes, absolutely. I actually like taking bacon and I put it in a pot and I kind of cook it. And so it really cooks a lot of the fat out, and then it gets crispy, and then I pull it out. So, I mean, obviously, I'm not ever recommending like, oh, let's just drink all this extra lard from the bacon, but I sure do like crispy bacon. And if you consume it without a lot of carbs, I think it's good. It also has very high levels of vitamin B1, and because I grow my own pork, I don't have to worry about those pesticides and chemicals and things like that. But you just want to make sure you get a high quality product or at the farmer's market, find something that you know is good, or raise your own pigs.
All right, very good. Well, Harry is from lovely Las Vegas. He doesn't sound like he's in a casino right now, but nevertheless, he has some health questions. Harry, you're on with Dr. Berg. Go ahead with your one question, please.
Hey, thanks, Dr. Berg. Harry from Las Vegas. You'd mentioned previously about intracellular testing for magnesium being the preferred method for, a more accurate test. And I looked at Quest, and they have two tests, one for serum and one for red blood cells. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't sure if the red blood cell was the intracellular test, or is it a completely different test that I can't get at Quest?
No, that is the red blood cell is a really good intracellular test. Because you're not measuring the plasma, you're measuring the actual inside that red blood cell. And it's a great way to measure magnesium and other electrolytes and even other vitamins. So yeah, that would be a good thing to do. Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Thank you, Harry. It sounds like you're drilling into a casino safe back there. I don't know what that noise is, but anyway, good luck with that. I won't say anything. All right, let's get back to Dr. Berg here. And let's see, BB from YouTube, will a chewing gum container sucralose break my fast? Chewing gum containing sucralose, break my fast?
Probably not very much. There's a tiny bit of some things in there. I would prefer if you did a chewing gum with xylitol instead. But I don't think it's going to break your fast too much if you do either or.
All right, let's see. By the way, Dr. Berg, you've got this great app. In what condition is that now in terms of people being able to find videos or any other details? Is that something that we should encourage?
What's nice about the app is that you can find stuff easy, and you can also do it on my website, but it has a good search tool on the app. So you just type in this, whatever you want, and it pops right up. So that would be another good way to find information. Because what's happening now is that recently there was a new policy in YouTube where they are kind of censoring health information. And so, unfortunately, my viewpoint is it's not equality. It's not health equality. It's not fair. It's they're replacing with things that are more medical, even the area of keto. And that's really the main thing is like, when you search for keto, if you're only finding negative things on keto, that's not really a fair and balanced way of finding information, especially if you're, if you're getting in the news like, oh yeah, keto is dangerous to the kidneys, or you hear this or that. And then you find out it's a total bogus study and they actually fed rats a high fat diet, but without lowering the carb. True story. So, and then you're going to think, oh yeah, I was going to try keto, but I decided not to because it was dangerous. So, if you get the right information and you have a diversity of viewpoints out there, you're not just going to a restaurant and all they get is one thing on the menu and no other options. Well, I think based on the survey that we did, people do want options. They want to, honestly, the big thing they want is they want alternative things. They want something that is effective. And there's a lot of people who have done the healthy keto that have gotten results. In fact, keto is not dangerous. It's not harmful. It's extremely effective. And go to my website sometime and just read some of those 7,000 success stories and see for yourself. And there's a tab on my website too on keto that have a lot of great additional researched information that you can see the flip side of that, of the positives on keto. So then you can make an evaluation to see if you want to do it or not.
Yeah, and by the way, Dr. Berg, the great majority of what he talks about is how to stay healthy and not end up with some of these diseases. And my health and a good spirit is directly measurable not only by my observation, but also by my doctor, by my MD, by blood tests, etc. My cholesterol's in check, my sugar's in check. I feel great. I'm doing just terrifically. And that's not counterculture stuff. That's mainstream medicine, measuring the results of my association with Dr. Berg and following many of his dictates. I'm not perfect, but I'll tell you what, anything helps, and it certainly helped me a tremendous amount. So I'm sorry that we're all having to go through that. But once again, if you have a moment, go to drberg.com, sign up for the newsletter, and we will never lose touch with any of our folks that are constantly bragging here that they have lost this many pounds, they feel great and want to continue. So that is fantastic. Why don't we go ahead with the final quiz question of the day? And there it is.
Okay, what is the single best action to help you fall asleep faster if you are stressed? Now, this could be like you're trying to just go to sleep at night and you're just like, you got things going in your mind, or you get up in the middle of the night and you're just like, you start thinking, right? And you start worrying. What would be the thing that you could do to really fix that problem and put yourself right back into sleep?
Okay, well, here's a perfect time to bring up this graphic about talking about availability of products internationally, because Alina on YouTube wants to know if you can get her some stuff in Australia, ship some stuff down under.
That is the last area that we're looking at trying to figure out, because it's a slight distance from the U.S. So we're working that out. Stay tuned very soon, because we have attention on that for sure.
All right. Well, I can help Alina. Just swing by my place. I'll give you some of my nutritional yeast. I'll give you a couple of jugs for your trouble. And then soon thereafter, I'm sure we'll have some remedy for getting these great goods into Australia. Gordon from YouTube, will apple cider vinegar help with thyroid issues?
I'm not sure, but I know it'll help with your digestion, help with your blood sugars. And with the thyroid, you may need selenium, for example, or you may need iodine. I don't know, but I know it can't hurt. So maybe try it and see what happens.
All right, let's see. We're still waiting for our quiz answer. Let's see. Oh, here we go. How about Samit from Facebook? Please share your recommendations for someone suffering from asthma and eczema. Thank you, he says.
I think the best thing to take is vitamin D, because it'll help both of those conditions, but you need a little bit more than you probably were taking. So 50,000 IUs. Take it with a meal too. And so because that can help inflammation in your skin, and as well as asthma. In fact, children that are outside in the sun, that are asthmatic, tend to get much better really quick. So that vitamin D from either the sun or a supplement will help asthma.
Interesting. Let's hear from Hey123 is the handle from this person on YouTube. I periodically get quarter-size white spots on my face. Over the last 5 years or so, my dermatologist has no idea what's going on. What's your take on his quarter-size white spots and odd name?
I mean, I'm thinking it's vitiligo if it's white spots, right? It's a lack of pigment, which usually is an adrenal stress problem. So, yeah, I think I would do something to help the cortisol level that could be too low. And I think the best remedy for that, especially vitiligo, is the vitamin D at 40 to 50,000 IUs every single day. And of course, at the same time, if there is a stress situation, do whatever you can to minimize it or improve it.
All right, very good. The audience has successfully completed their entire exam. And here's the final question, which asks, what is the single best action to help you fall asleep faster if you are stressed? 70% of our respondents say exercise is the key to better sleep. I believe that. 10% say it's deep breathing. 10% say it's taking magnesium. And the final 10% say it is taking melatonin, very popular remedy, whether it works.
It's the breathing. And this is very, very inexpensive. It doesn't cost you too much. You just change your breath. And what you do is you do a 5-second inhalation and a 5-second exhalation through your stomach, through the nose. Okay. And you do that while you're trying to go to sleep, and really just focus on the breathing. Now, maybe it's the middle of the night and you're trying to get back to sleep, and you don't feel like you need to breathe that much. Well, then do a 3-second in and a 3-second out. But the key is keeping the breaths synchronized the same, and slowing it down and breathing through the nose. And what you're going to notice is by the next thing you know, you're waking up and you're like, wow, that really worked. I use it all the time. I use it to go to sleep. Even if I get up in the middle of the night, I use it to get back to sleep. It really works. If you find yourself not being able to sleep, notice what's happening with your breath. You're probably holding your breath some way. It's interesting.
All right, relax, folks. Let's get some sleep. Igor from Facebook, what are the best foods to unclog our arteries?
Just did a video on that. It would be a really good one would be something loaded with vitamin K2, and that would be sauerkraut, and also brie cheese. These are loaded with K2. So one thing you want to avoid is the grains and the sugars and the sweets and the junk foods, and have a combination of good animal meats and high quality vegetables, with the sauerkraut being the fermented, that can give you the vitamin K2 as well.
That's great. And as promised, we're staying a little bit after the hour to make up for our late start. Shazia Shazia from Facebook, how long should we take TUDCA and bile salts? Is there a period of time to do that?
It depends on what's going on. So I would take it for maybe, I don't know, 6 weeks and reevaluate to see if you need it. Then you come off of it and see if things are stabilizing.
All right, very good.
And if they are, then you're good.
Well, then you're good. That's wonderful. Good news. Corey from YouTube, can wine have an impact on the gallbladder? My doctor wants mine removed. Should I give up wine altogether?
God, that's really hard to give that up, right? Well, unfortunately, yes. Alcohol, for some reason, your liver doesn't like alcohol, and that bile is made by the liver and gets stored in the gallbladder, and your gallbladder also doesn't like alcohol. So it's not a good mix. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. And, it's always, are you using the cube with a little tube hanging out of it? That could explain a lot. So the amount, I'm sure, makes a difference. Mr. and a one, where do they get these handles from YouTube? Their
parents gave them that name.
I know, hateful thing. It'll make them tough, though. They get beat up at school, and that'll toughen them right up. How do we maintain our weight once we've reached our ideal BMI number while doing keto and intermittent fasting?
Well, let's say you don't want to lose weight, you don't want to gain weight. You have to make some adjustments with the amount of fats. So because if you keep going, you might get too thin, and that's a big problem. So we want to add more fat to the diet. So that way the calories that you're burning are the dietary fat, not your own fat anymore. And then you might want to adjust the calories of just your general food. If you might just need to eat more. Don't forget to add exercise too, to build up the muscles as part of that weight. And on that note, Steve, let's sign off. Thank you very much for all your wonderful comments. I will see you guys next week. Same time, same place.